Hello, hello, hello. Hello, everybody. Hello on this Sunday morning. You guys see the moniker. Please hit the like and the subscribe button. I'd appreciate it. I appreciate it. On this Sunday morning, right? So we are on the cusp of Michigan's Senate primary, right? We have two candidates. We have El-Sayed and we have Stevens. And I'm not from Detroit, right? I'm not from Michigan, but I'm speaking to you as somebody who was born and raised, in Illinois. And for the summer, I vacationed in Michigan and in Canada and all those kind of things with my grandmother, right? So I'm pretty familiar with Detroit. I wanted that house my grandmother had so much, but I was so young when she sold it. I wanted that house that was in Detroit because I loved that old stuff. But Detroit is a story for a lot of people. Our grandparents and great grandparents left the Jim Crow South, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and took that train north to work in the auto plants, right? And they built black wealth and homes and made Detroit the center of black economic power in this country until the auto industries decided they were going to take the factories out of Detroit and then put them in the suburbs where the white families moved, and economic opportunities, they took those away from the city in Detroit and then ended up in the suburbs where white families had moved, and that pretty much gutted Detroit. So when we talk about Detroit, we talk about family. And right now, everybody in Washington, D.C. wants to turn Detroit around. The question is, who is being turned around for the black families who held that city down, or the corporate developers and political elites looking to make a profit off of Detroit or Michigan? We hear all the time Detroit fell apart when black people took over. That's a cover. The factory started leaving in the 1950s, long before black leadership had real power. Corporate decisions, automation, bad trade deals, all of that kind of stuff. Black workers got hit the most, lost their job, couldn't buy housing, redlining, all kinds of things happened to put Detroit in the economic shape that it was in. Okay. Now we have to look at who's running in Michigan. Let's look at Haley Stevens. She's running against El-Sayed. She spent her career inside the system that managed the auto industry, right? She was on the Obama rescue team. She helped with the CHIPS Act. That's real work. We get it. She's a Democrat, but managing the industry and challenging the corporate power that keeps extracting black workers from people in Detroit, from the workers in Detroit, are two different things. Abdul El-Sayed is a doctor. He's different. He works in Detroit after the bankruptcy, dealing with the real human cost of what happens when corporations leave and the government fails. Because the government really did fail Detroit. That's what happened to destroy and gut Detroit. They didn't feel that black people were important enough to keep the economic power in Detroit, and they moved it to the suburbs where the white people were, and they just extracted all the resources from Detroit, and that just gutted it from the inside. But El-Sayed has been clear. The trade deals that shipped our jobs away were a disaster. Of course they were. He wants unions at the table, living wages at the table, an economy that doesn't treat working people, like they're disposable. So that's the difference between Haley Stevens, and El-Sayed. Big difference. One favors corporations and the other one doesn't. With Stevens, you get more of the same industry deals and bipartisan wins. With El-Sayed, the fight is about whether the next generation of good jobs actually reaches the same communities that got left behind when the factories left. It's about putting workers and neighborhoods first instead of letting corporate lobbyists write the rules again. That's why this history matters. This is why the choice is clear. I think El-Sayed is being favored by black people in Detroit by 75%, maybe 60%, 70%. I'm not really sure. I can't remember what it was. But we have to look deeper, even deeper at how these two visions, Stevens and El-Sayed, play out when it comes to who actually holds the power. Number one, corporate PAC money versus people power. Looking at the funding, Haley Stevens relies heavily on corporate PAC money and massive outside special interest money. Tens of millions of dollars have flown into these races to fight El-Sayed and to keep candidates like her in the lead. She is one of those establishment Democrats that they want in power. Instead of moving over for the progressives, giving progressives seats at the table, they want to get somebody in there like Stevens, who's going to go along with the Schumer Jeffries agenda. El-Sayed is not going to do that. He doesn't want to do that. Tens of millions of dollars flown into these races to keep candidates like her winning against El-Sayed. Ask yourself, why are these corporate PACs spending millions of dollars to influence this seat, to keep El-Sayed out of that seat? Against him. They're running against him. He's progressive. He's a Democratic progressive. It's simple. Corporate donors invest in access and protection. When corporate developers want tax exemptions in Detroit, or when big pharmaceuticals want to protect high drug prices, they get their calls answered by the corporate elite. But when working class black families in Detroit ask for housing protections or real wealth building investments, they get moderate excuses. They get shoved into a corner. So El-Sayed refuses corporate PAC money entirely. He doesn't take checks from big pharma, fossil fuel companies, or corporate real estate lobbies. That means when he votes in Washington, his loyalty stays right where it belongs, in Detroit, in Michigan, with working people and community and neighborhoods. Number two, a real record on public health and justice. For black families, specifically for black families, whether in Detroit, Atlanta, or Birmingham, justice is not an abstract slogan. It's a matter of basic survival and public health. Haley Stevens has consistently voted in Congress to increase federal law enforcement budgets without attaching the strict non-negotiable civil rights protections to it, oversight to it, or community-led interventions that Black voters have repeatedly demanded. She just completely ignores them. Writing blank checks for status quo policing doesn't make our streets safer. So Sayed, as Detroit's health director, Abdul El-Sayed is Detroit's health director. Prove what real community first leadership looks like. So when state government ignored environmental hazards, he ensured water in Detroit public schools was tested for lead first, where black children weren't poisoned in the classrooms. He launched programs to deliver free eye exams and glasses straight to Detroit students. He directly took on corporate polluters who dumped toxic industrial waste right next to black neighborhoods, I guess, driving up asthma rates among the youth in Detroit. He didn't wait for a political campaign to care about Detroit's children. He did the work on the ground when the cameras were not rolling. So he has a history of being in public health and in justice and doing the right thing for the people. Okay. So if we're going to turn Democratic, we're going to turn Democratic policies into fruition, and we're going to turn Detroit around, or try to turn Detroit around, I guess we need some kind of bold Democratic structure, some policies that are going to change, direct change I don't know whether they can do something like what is this, Mandami? I don't know whether they can do anything like that. I don't know. But you know what? This old whatever's been working ain't working. What this old habit is that what we've been doing in Detroit is not working. You need some kind of radical change. We need some kind of radical change, and a radical change that uh, focuses on you know things that the people need rather than what the corporations need. I think, and I guess what he believes in is healthcare is a right, and I think healthcare should be a right. There should be housing equity, neighborhood protection. We need investment in the neighborhoods. We need investment in the infrastructure. We need that a lot around a lot of places, not just Detroit, but we're talking about Detroit, Michigan right now. Rejuvenation cannot mean gentrification, cannot mean fixing up 2 miles of downtown while leaving the rest of the city of Detroit in dark. My grandmother lived on a street called Calvert. I think it was called Calvert when I was a kid. We used to go up there all the time, and it wasn't that far from downtown Michigan. I think it was. I want to say 10 blocks away from downtown Michigan. Beautiful, huge house. Beautiful, huge house. Okay, but she came to live with my parents in Illinois, so I remember how beautiful Detroit was when I was a kid. More that at least her street was. So from down south to up north, okay, black folks have always had to stand together to demand that real power, real accountability, and real equity. They can't afford to settle for moderates like Stevens, who wants to take PAC money. I think she took about $50 million in PAC money. Some kind of democracy, something or another. She took $50 million in PAC money. And everybody is always canceling you because you take PAC money. I'm not one of those people. I'm just saying if that's important to you, she's the candidate that took PAC money. I'm not saying it's important to me. It could be important to you. I don't know. Okay. So they really need a leader who's willing to challenge the status quo, those corporate forces that gutted the community and continue to not help this community. You have to say no, corporate backed status quo management, like Haley Stevens want. Say no to the false narratives meant to blame our people for Detroit's decline. I hate when people say that. It's so much more to that story than just black people destroyed Detroit. When you pull, if a state, just for example, if a city has 100% funding, and you take 70% of that funding and put it in the suburbs, you take it out of the city and you put it in the suburbs, 70%. Don't you think that 30% that's left is going to collapse? That's what the people in Detroit, that's what happened to Detroit. 70% of the resources came out of the city and went into the suburbs where the white folks were. So you took all of these resources away from there, and then you expected them to be able to prop everything up on their own, and that was not possible because you had redlining. You wouldn't let people buy housing. You wouldn't let people to own property, other properties, start businesses. There's many different reasons why Detroit came into that failed state. Many different reasons. It wasn't just black people. Okay, even meant to say she kind of burned her bridges. And I don't know why she did that to herself. But wait a minute, let me listen to this. Hold on.
This democracy is ours for the building. 250 years in, the only thing that has rescued us from some of the worst mistakes, the worst moral failures in our country's history has been democracy. People standing in the cut questioning the worst things and asking, can we be better? And it first starts in small conversations when they're told that they can't possibly stand up to power, that there's too much money stacked against them, that they have the will to have those courageous conversations. And their truth becomes infectious because they're willing to share it. And soon enough, a few conversations turn into a movement of people standing up against the tyranny against the idea that we should take people's land and give them nothing for it, against the idea that some people ought to be able to be enslaved in the country, against the idea of segregation, against the idea that women should not have a role in our democracy. And we have that choice here now. Our future is there for the building. We cannot address the mistakes of the past, but we for damn sure can make sure that they don't continue to show up for the future.
So, Haley Stevens' campaign and her public statements, those are problematic. That's why she's down in the polls. Her statement centered on the argument that Saeed's rhetoric about Israel, that was right, about Israel and AIPAC crossed the line from criticism of the Israeli government into anti-Semitism. Specifically, she made or amplified several accusations. She accused him of promoting anti-Semitic tropes. She said that El-Sayed was trafficking in anti-Semitism by the way he discussed AIPAC and Jewish political influence. She suggested he was blaming Jewish Americans for America's problem. I don't think he did that at all. I don't even know where that even comes from. In a social media post, she said, everybody in America understands you want to blame all of your problems on Jewish America. That's not the case. See this Jewish, this Israeli, and this Muslim fight, it's not my fight. Okay? It's not my fight. Let's be clear, it's not my fight. Okay? But I understand that they've been fighting for centuries, eons, whatever. But we're talking about America and American problems. That the last thing we need to hear about is somebody else, some other country's problems. We need to focus on the United States problem. We need to focus on the things that we do. Okay? And I think the reason why Haley Stevens went down in the polling is because she attacked, that became the attack on him, and him being anti-Semitic became one of the central attacks against his campaign. And she argued his criticism of AIPAC encouraged hostility towards Jews. So sometimes when you just say the word Jews or whatever, people think you're anti-Semitic. I don't have any feelings one way or the other about Jewish people one way or the other. I'm not anti-Semitic. I'm not anything. I'm neutral. I'm numb to the whole situation. I have no thought on it whatsoever. No bad thought. No bad thought, no good thought. I have no thought whatsoever on it. So when people say something about Jews or whatever, people get upset. You're anti-Semitic. I don't care about it enough to be anti-Semitic. That makes no sense. So Stevens supporters kept repeating this AIPAC narrative, Democratic politics, trying to be anti-Semitic against Jewish people and the power and influence and all of that stuff. And I don't think I've heard some of his speeches, but he hasn't said any of that out loud. But he's always constantly asked, does Jewish have a right to exist? He's always asked that particular question, right? And there's some goofy thing that they got going on whenever they ask that question, whatever. And I guess he never answers it. I don't know how that is. But she tries to use that as a weapon against him. And he says, we have bigger fish to fry. We can't worry about other people's problems. We have to worry about our own problems. So I think that's where he is with it. We have to worry about what's going on here in the United States. And she portrays him as a weak person on combating anti-Semitism. That's not my focus. If I was a politician, that wouldn't be my focus either. I wouldn't be concerned about anti-Semitic X, Y, and Z. That's not my focus. I don't care about that. That's y'all's fight. That's not my fight, right? So how he has been responding, he rejected those accusations. Of course, he argued criticizing AIPAC is not the same thing as criticizing Jewish people. That's correct. Taking AIPAC money, that means when you take money like that, you're being influenced by somebody else and not the American people. That's the whole point of why people are against AIPAC money, because you're taking money and then they expect influence. And I get it. Sometimes people offer you $20 million. You're going to take that $20 million because you want to be flush with cash. I get all of that. but you also have to have integrity. And you also have to understand that we're trying to build America first. We're not trying to build Israel first. We're not trying to build any kind of Jewish settlement or whatever first. We're not trying to do anything to do with anybody other than Americans. Okay? So criticizing AIPAC is not the same thing as criticizing Jewish people. So he repeatedly condemned that anti-Semitic rhetoric and violence against Jewish Americans. Of course, you're gonna, go against that rhetoric because it wasn't true. He's never said that. And his criticism is direct at the policies of the Israeli government and the influence of those lobbying organizations, not as Jewish people as a whole, as a group. He's saying you take money from AIPAC, you take money from these companies, these corporations, these countries, and you're compromised. So the disagreement was largely over whether the line between criticism of AIPAC and Israel or is the same as anti-Semitism. I don't think so, but then that's just, I don't care. I'm not voting in Democrat. I'm not voting in the Detroit election or the Michigan election. It's for the Michigan people to decide. But apparently the Michigan people have decided because she's down in the polls big time and the election is on Tuesday. Okay? We're not dealing with this hate, this goofy, anti-Semitic. We're not dealing with this kind of rhetoric anymore. All of you racists, you need to get to the back because we're not dealing with you anymore. We want progress. We want progress in this country. We don't want any of this. Oh, I don't want to deal with you because you like gay people. Nobody wants to hear that hate language. Our country is drowning. Okay, our country is going down the tubes, being led down the tubes by a bunch of goofy people in Washington, D.C. We don't have time to deal with people who are anti-Semitic, people who are anti-gay, people who are anti-X, Y, and Z. We don't have time for people like that. We have to put policies in place and things in place to make our country go forward. This is why Haley Stevens is behind. Okay? Because she represents that anti-hate, that anti-human, that anti-gay, that anti-goofy stuff that we hear all the time. And people are tired of hearing these anti-this. I hate this person. I hate that person. I hate this. This, that. Nobody wants to hear that rhetoric anymore. We're looking to move forward in positive things. You know, we want positive change in this country. And right now in Michigan, the only one who's talking about positive things, and he hasn't attacked her at all, is El-Sayed, who hasn't attacked her at all, who hasn't said anything negative about her at all. But she enjoys calling him an anti-Semitic and all of them other good words that she wants to put a label on him. And that's not what he said. That's not how he's demonstrated himself. He's an American like everybody else. Okay? But hey, it is what it is. A lot of people hear El-Sayed and then they go straight left to the moon. But you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. But if you appreciate my content, please hit the like and the subscribe. Let me hear some of the people in the chat, and hear some people in the chat. Okay, because this is always entertaining. Hello, you. How you doing? The 1960s were 70 years ago. They're dead and gone. No one cares. Right. No one cares about that time. Definitely don't care about the time. We care about now. Democrats are lazy. Yeah, sure. Democrats are lazy. But look at this, Dirty Mike. Dirty Mike. The country has progressed more under Democrats than it has under the Republicans. This country has progressed more under Democrats than it has under Republicans. So we can be as lazy as we want to be. We still have gotten more production done for this country as Democrats than any Republican. Go back and look it up. Some of you goofies never want to go back and look at the progress. Some of you goofies never want to go back and look at the truth. But Democrats have steered this country fairly well compared to Republicans. So, goofy. Get a job. Nothing is free. Absolutely nothing is free. You go get a job, Dirty Mike. You dirty, ain't you dirty? Lazy ass just wants Hannah. Of course they want Hannah. That's how goofy you people are. You believe everything that the Republicans have told you. The Republicans tell you that Democrats are lazy, and yet and still, more progress has been made under Democratic rule than anybody else. Just goofy. You folks destroyed Detroit, and that's why I say they too lazy to. This is lazy right here. Lazy, too lazy to read, too lazy to understand. Don't understand nuance. Don't understand anything. Just goofy. We need reestablished manufacturing. Yes, we do. We definitely do need that. It would be nice. Oh, miss no education. I have no idea what that means. Goofy, goofy. I have more education than the average person. Okay. Yes, we will. Professional victim. Of course, we're professional victims. Of course, we are. You will vote against your best interest just so you won't vote a Democrat, but you'll vote against your best interest. That's how goofy you are. Let me see. Why are FBA people so damn lazy? What's the FBA people? Dude, what do you mean FBA? Who the fuck is FBA people? Mama, can we talk in between? Talk in between what? I don't know. That's a black people fault. Of course it's a black people fault. It's not your fault. Not at all. You don't have nothing to do with it. It's always a black person's fault. It's never your fault. It's never the fact that you're mediocre or lazy too. Never. We do not. Wait a minute. We don't need politicians. Okay. They all do. Okay. Can we still text? I'll listen. Crazy. I don't trust the Arabs. They're shake snaky. You know that's some goofy shit. Some of y'all really need to grow up. For real. For real. You really do. You really do. You need to really grow up. I don't trust Arabs. Are you nuts? I don't trust Christians. And you're politically ignorant. Of course I am. Of course I am. I'm absolutely politically ignorant. That makes all the sense in the world. Okay, politically ignorant is not a thing. The city budget has been $3 billion for 20 years. $3 billion? Are you serious right now? Jesus, that's crazy. I have no problem with Jewish American. Of course, most people don't have a problem with Jewish American people. I don't know you white people from other white people. I don't care whether you're Jewish or you're Spanish, or I don't care one way or the other. I don't know one from the other. Y'all look the same to me at some shit. Ain't that racist? That's what y'all say. Oh, okay. Let me see. I have a master's degree. I assure you, there are thousands of things a person can be ignorant about. Ignorance is simply lack of information. It does not mean stupid. Words have meaning. Of course they do have meanings. Of course they do. Of course. Goofy. What does that mean? I support Israel. Okay, go ahead and support Israel. Do whatever you gotta do. I'm happy for you. Spend a month in Israel and see if you feel the same. They know everything about Israel. Ain't never been there. Know everything about it. Christians are just as unsafe there. Of course, Christians are just as unsafe as Muslims are. Of course they are. But see, they want to use that against El-Sayed, and El-Sayed is an American, just like Haley is American. What makes you think you white people are the only Americans? You're not the only Americans. That's your problem. You think you're the only American. You're not the only American. Stop it. So is he. He's an American too. The last time the United States had a surplus budget, it was under Of course. Thank you. You just go look at the deficit spending of the United States. It's always goes down during democracy. Of course. FBA stands for Foundational Black Americans. Oh, okay, yeah. Okay. Essentially, Black Americans who can be directly traced as descent. Oh, okay. That works. That makes sense. Well, thank you. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you guys showing up. We got to get out there, and we need to vote this administration out. People that support this goofy narrative, people that support Medicaid getting cut, Medicare getting cut, all of these things that are going to happen at the end of the year, if this Republican administration continues to do what it's going to do, they're going to gut Medicaid, Part D, and then we're going to be in a tizzy. Maybe not skyrocketing prices soon, but soon enough. Okay, that's a supplemental medical for the seniors. They're going to try to cut that out. According to Republicans, they're going to cut off the senior Medicaid Part D. Okay, so let's see how that affects you guys. Let's see if you goofy goofies, you older goofy goofies, still vote Republican when once they trying to cut off your Medicaid. But hey, you always voted against your own interests any old way. So who knows what the hell y'all gonna say? Are you gonna not vote for them? What are you gonna do? Who knows? Democrats are lazy. I love that. Stop lying. They're not gonna goofy. I don't have to lie. Go check it out. Medicaid Part D. Boy, some of you just be talking and don't know what you're talking about. Medicaid Part D. Go check it out. Democrats restore. I don't know. Hopefully we can forge a better road forward. Who wants to go backward? Nobody wants to go backwards. What we want to do is go forward with this country. Of course, they already cut $1 trillion from Medicaid. Of course they have, and they're going to cut more. But this person right here, they're not going to cut Medicaid. They cut Medicaid 2 years ago, goofy, when they put in the big beautiful bill. But it was only supposed to kick in when Democrats. I don't know whether it kicked in now or maybe that's what's going to happen after this election. Those Medicaid cuts are already in the works. They're going to happen after this election, November. It's going to happen after that because they wanted the Democrats to be blamed for the Medicaid cuts. But I'm going to scream from the rooftops. The Republicans already cut Medicaid. They cut it in the big beautiful bill. That's crazy. That's crazy. Half y'all ain't even read Big Beautiful Bill. You're on here screaming about Medicaid Part D. They already done cut it in the Big Beautiful Bill 2 years ago. And it only kicks in after November. I don't give a shit about the Republican and Democrat. I'm not a puppet. Of course you're not. Haven't heard a single Democrat. About what? Okay. What have the Democrat Party done for the black community? Democratic Party has done many things for the black community. What do you mean? I don't know what's wrong with y'all. Some of y'all just get on here and say any old thing. I'm not going to do the research for you, sir. Nobody's going to do the research for you. Do the research instead of whining about what you hear on here. Y'all make it seem like people that you hear on here tell you the truth all the time. I'm not telling you anything that you can't research yourself. I'm not telling you a thing that you can't research yourself. Stop asking and listening to other people. Research yourself. What has the Democratic Party done for you? What has the Republican Party done for you? The Democratic Party has done more for you than the Republican Party. What are you talking about? Go read. Medicaid cuts kick in right after the election. They did it in the big beautiful bill. The Republicans cut the senior citizens Medicaid Part D in the big beautiful bill 2 years ago. And they don't kick in, the cuts don't kick in until November. Boy, y'all wild. I don't understand what's going on. Why the Democrats are not fighting? They did it in the big beautiful bill. They can't do anything about it. They don't have a majority. They can only fight like they're trying to. We can only change the House or the Senate. They're ruling. Whoever's in charge of it. That's the only thing we can do to stop their agenda. We can't do nothing if we can't stop their agenda. The first thing that they need to do if they win the House and the Senate, the Democrats need to rescind all of those tax cuts. That way, the $1 trillion that they cut out of our they billed to us, that $1 trillion they billed to us for those tax cuts can go off the books. Rescind all those tax cuts. Take them tax cuts back. That's the first thing you do. Okay? That's the first thing they do. Rescind those tax cuts. Yes, they let Trump do whatever he wants. That's why we need an agenda that stops Trump. Okay. Yeah, the Democrats are trying to add an amendment to the Save America Act, which would reverse the Medicaid cuts. Let's hope that's the case. Republicans have a supermajority. No, they don't have a supermajority. No, they don't. And Congress is scared of Trump. They don't have a supermajority yet. Okay. They say that every 4 years, then do nothing for the black community. Well, goofy. What? Let me explain to you like this. The Democratic Party is like a kitchen. You have all of these ingredients, all this food in here. If you don't tell the Democrats what you want to eat, they're just going to cook whatever they want to eat. When LGBT people wanted what they wanted, they went to the Democratic Party and said, we want this, and the Democratic Party did it. When the Asian Americans went to the Democratic Party and said they wanted to be part of the extend that hate crime bill, that's what the Democrats did to those Asian people. So why the hell is it that you black people, black men specifically, because it's always black men talking this dumb shit, why you don't go to the Democratic Party and tell them that you want more vocational schools for black folks? You want more job opportunities for black folks. Why you don't never go in there and tell them what you want them to cook? Why you always talking about what have they done for the black community? What have you took to them and told them that you wanted them to do? I ain't never got on no show and heard one black man say what he want the Democratic Party to do. That's crazy. That's crazy. You always want them to do something for you, but you never say what you want. What do you want? What do you mean they ain't did nothing for you? What do you want? You can't make this shit up. You can't make none of this shit up. You can't make it up. California and Illinois, Massachusetts are three of the largest donor states in the country, and they have Democratic supermajorities in both chambers. You Democrats love raising taxes. Who cares about raising taxes, Who cares about raising taxes, retard? We need money in this country to build housing, roads, schools, bridges. We need taxes for that. Why everybody scared of taxes? What the hell? If I could get free health care, I could get my roads and my bridges and all that done, and I needed to be taxed a little more. So what? Why the hell y'all run up in here talking about taxes? But you rather have run down shit. But you rather not have health care. But you rather not have any of these things. But you rather keep paying taxes for nothing. Just don't even make sense. Don't even make no sense. You people want more but never give anything. That's the whole fucking point of taxing. Jesus. Somebody please explain it to him. Gimme. That makes sense. That makes sense. I told you, these people just vote against their own interests every time. Same thing for immigrants. Please don't talk to me about immigrants, because you got to be one of those goofy FBA people. Please don't talk to me about immigrants. And the majority of people in Massachusetts don't mind paying. I don't mind paying taxes if I'm going to get something for my taxes. If you tell me I got to pay $50 more a year so everybody can have health care, of course I want to pay $50 extra per year. Okay. I don't want my tax money to go to war, but apparently y'all rather we pay for war than to pay for health care. Y'all rather pay for war than get free college to build up our school system, to build up the public school. Y'all rather have free war. It don't even make sense. Don't even make no sense whatsoever. Just advocating for rich people to continue to get your money. Just advocating for us to be at war. Just advocating for just stuff that don't even help the regular, ordinary American. Okay, just wild. You're a Democrat because your parents were. No, I'm a Democrat because I don't think I'm a Democrat because my parents were a Democrat. It don't even make sense. Okay, but you only talk because they touch you. Yeah, they didn't touch my Medicare. I don't get Medicare. I'm too young for that. We don't get a vote in whether we go to war. Yeah, that's goofy. We don't get a vote. Sure don't. We don't get no kind of vote. We just at war. We just putting our money. We just giving them billions of dollars every day. We just giving away billions of dollars to another country, billions of dollars to a war, and then we can't have nothing here in our home country. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. We can't have nothing in our home country because we at war in somebody else's country for no reason. Y'all hit the like and subscribe button. I appreciate it. This is supposed to be a quick talk, and hopefully you guys live in. If you live in Michigan, please vote for El-Sayed. I'm just saying he seems more progressive. He seems like he wants to get things done, more things done. And the minute I hear that somebody's minute I hear somebody calling another person names, the minute I hear somebody talking terrible about another human being just because you're running against them in an election, that immediately turns me off. And I was like, nope, nope, nope. I definitely would have to go with Saeed. Definitely. He's up ahead. So far, he's up ahead. So far, Tallarico's up ahead. So we need change in this country. Right now, nobody likes the direction we're going in. So we need change. And the only way we're going to have change is if you vote Democratic to put a chokehold, put a stop on this president's agenda, to put a stop on this war, to put a stop on these tax cuts for the rich, to put a stop on these budgets paying for this, and this. Okay? We can't get nothing as long as we have this administration giving away our money. Okay? Progressive, he said, what did he say? Progressives independent here, and both my parents were hardcore. Has nothing to do with. That's right. Me being a Democrat has nothing to do with my parents. I understand the policies. We can't have nothing in our country when the Democrats give it. Tyler, please grow up. Please grow up. You hurt my head. Because if you don't know how to read and you keep spilling these talking points, you're making my head hurt. I can't. Nobody can engage with you if Democrats is bad, Republicans is good. Democrats is bad. Name one thing that the Republicans did for you for the past 2 years. Please explain to me. Please explain to me. I want to know. Please explain to me what they done with you done for you for the past 2 years. Not a damn thing. Not a damn thing. I'm fine with either Michigan Dems need Senate seat. Yes, we need that Senate seat. Yes, we do. We just vote to give people jobs for 4 years. Give what people jobs? Who did you vote to give jobs for 4 years? The rich people? That's wild. That's wild. We got bigger fish to fry than closing the border. We got bigger fish to fry than that. And then closing the border ain't going to change one way or the other. Open or close. It ain't going to make no difference to where our economy is in free fall. Why you goofies don't know that? I don't know. But you don't know that. So, I did read what you wrote. You said we can't have nothing in our country when the Democrats give it all away to illegals and the Republicans give it to the rich. That's what you said. Okay? I read what you said. I heard what you said. So the whole point is pick a side and fight with that side. Don't give me one or the other. Right now, as you can see, as everybody can see, the Republican side is taking us through it. We need to stop getting took through it. We don't have time to go after both parties. What we need to do is stop. What we need to do is stop and go in a different direction. That's what we need to do. Go in a different direction. And right now, the direction we're heading in is taking us down a path that we don't want to be in. So we need to stop that path first. We need to stop that path and then decide what path we're going to go on. But we need to stop what's happening right now. That's the point. Stop what's happening right now. So I appreciate all of you guys. I appreciate you guys. I do. I'll be back later. I definitely will be back later. Black people go through it no matter who's in power. That's true. Closing the border is a simple thing. Fixing the immigration system is the real answer. Democrats tried. Trump killed immigration reform. That's true. I'll talk to y'all later.